And we are recording. Morning, Al. Oh, your microphone is muted.
Can you hear me now?
I sure can.
Okay. Look, I thought we might just give a bit of simple stuff, intermediate stuff that's important perhaps for people starting out on Magic, and I thought we might talk about banishing. What do you want to say?
I guess probably we should begin with one of the most important areas, which would be the banishing. I think. What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, a lot's been said on this subject, Al, and I think the baby goes out with the bathwater in a lot of cases. Like I see people that are worried about technique and this and that. That really they're missing the whole point of it, which was to tell something decisively to get the fuck out. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether you're using the Star Ruby of Crowley, the Golden Dawn's Lesser Banishing Ritual of the Pentagram, or if you're just banging a pot and pan around, going around the house, making noise and telling things to go away. Um, it's the fact that it's your domicile and it's you that's declaring what's going to be there and be resident there and what's not. And anything that doesn't like that has the opportunity to contest it or just leave. And that's really what it comes down to. I think anyway. What do you think?
I reckon that spiritual entities are a bit like dogs. They can either smell or somehow sense whether you got fear about you.
Oh
So
yeah.
if you come into this with, look, get fucked, I'm not like that. I try to be nice, but if there's a problem, then I can get nastier and nastier. Like this is my workspace, get fucked.
Yeah, you're right. They do have an almost dog-like ability to smell fear, and when they smell fear, they're going to continue to feed that energy, and the situation will get worse and worse and worse. You're right. When if you would have just said no to begin with, the most powerful word in the English language, no, you know, and yeah, if people would say that in the beginning instead of get afraid. You're right. Yeah, that would make a big difference. Um,
The other thing I tell people is, I practiced it for a couple of days, but I gave up on it. I never got anything out of it. Listen, it takes quite some time of serious practice to learn how to do a banishing. And like it can take months, but you'll know you've done it because there's a shift in energy. And once you keep practicing and once you get really, really good at banishing, you can use it for a whole heap of things like baneful magic. Because if you keep working banishing, you'll know how to banish health and banish wealth and banish, for your enemy. Direct that energy towards them because you'll know how to manipulate this so well, having practiced the banishing ritual for so long. That's what I use it for. I use it primarily for baneful work. The other thing, if you do banishing, even if you're no good, it's a signal to spiritual entities that you are around. It doesn't tell them to come in. It just says, look, I'm around and I'm working on it. And that's a healthy thing as well.
yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Definitely agree with that. There's a shift, like you said. There's a shift in the room when the ritual's been done the right way. I would say that that's true. Um,
Yep.
People think that the lesser banishing ritual, the pentagram, is all about protection, and I try to explain to them it's not. It does have some protective qualities, but it's primarily for spiritual hygiene because the
Yep.
practice of ceremonial magic, in and of itself, draws astral creepy crawlies to it like a magnet because they see us in our bright light in the astral and they see that and they want to feed on it. And so if you're working indoors, I tell people banishing before and afterwards is a great way to start because you start with a clean slate, it's uncontaminated. You can do your work, and then anything that was attracted to it can be just swept away, and that's it. Warding and guarding is a subject too that I think is kind of correlates to this. People don't realize that guards and wards and banishings are not exactly the same thing, and they don't do the same thing. You want to banish first, and then do your guards and wards on your windows, your doors, anything ingress egress to seal the room, and that can be sealed for a period of a week, 2 weeks, something like that. That's very important to maintain like psychic hygiene, what I call psychic hygiene. Yeah, yeah. I'm a big fan of Jason Miller's reversal magic, by the way. in that book, he has a really sweet little ward that he uses for all of his windows and doors. And I took to using it too. And matter of fact, do I have in my bag of tricks here? Um, it was here last night. I have a bag of black salt. If you've never seen a bag of black salt, it's really it's really hard and sharp. And if you take that black salt and you sprinkle it as you're doing your windows and your door boards, man, it muscles those up. It beefs them right up. Makes them really resilient. Makes the magic last a lot longer when it comes to keeping things out.
I'll remember that.
Yeah, it's a good trick to know. Good trick to know.
Could I tell you? Well, I just thought I'd lighten up the discussion and tell you a horror story. And the horror stories are based on truth, and this is based on truth. About 20 years ago, I met a really nice guy online, a guy in Sydney, Australia. He lived on the North Shore, which is one of the better places in Sydney. And he was into left-hand path magic. Anyway, I eventually met him at his place, and we had something to eat. There were some people came around, people that might have been interested, and they were pretty hopeless. Anyway, he teamed up with this idiot guy that he met, and they were using Ouija board to contact spirits. And eventually he contacted this spirit who was very, very, very helpful, gave him a lot of really, really good advice. And he was talking to this spirit regularly, getting advice from the spirit. And one day the spirit said, look, it'd be easier if you just invited me into your head so I could give you the advice as and when you need it. And guess where this story's going? And that's what happened. And the guy lost his job, he lost his house, he lost his wife and 2 children. And when he'd lost everything, he said to the spirit, why did you do this? Why did you do this? And he said, I've never heard a more wicked and evil laugh in my life. And he said, I've worked and worked and worked to banish the spirit. Every so often it comes back into my head and wants to be invited in, and it won't do bad things to me anymore. But he said it still hangs around. And the guy, the reason it happened was the guy didn't know anything at all about how to banish.
Yeah, yeah, got to know how to banish. And that thing where they come back after they've been cast out, that's really true too. There's actually a scriptural verse that discusses this. It's like a slave getting thrown out of the house by the master, and that in the nighttime he will return to the master's house to try to get back in. And that's exactly what you're looking at with these entities. When they have a host, they want to keep that if they can. And when they get cast out, they'll definitely try to come back. People, and what kills me is how many parasite and other entity removal cases I get in my business. And when I get the parasite out of them, I get it gone, and then they invite it back in. They invite
Yep.
it back in because of a feeling of loneliness or a feeling of being incomplete. And it's like, dude, that was not your friend.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
man.
I think the message is when you start off with magic, the first thing you got to learn, and it's boring, but you just got to keep at it, is how to do a banishing. And my advice to young magicians is, after you've learnt the rudiments, rehearse it. Rehearse this like you're going to appear in a blockbuster movie. This is your chance to become a movie star. So get everything damn perfect. And then once you've done that, put the energy into it. And that's when you'll start to see results.
That's perfect advice, Al. That's actually perfect advice. I would tell that to my students. As a matter of fact, I do. We got to get that banishing ritual down perfectly. And then what happens is this: it goes from being rote and memory and that. Then one day life will come into it when they'll really put their back into it, and their movements are sharp and crisp and tight, and they're like a tiger poised, ready to strike every turn, every yeah, good, yeah, yeah. Good ritual work, when you see it, I mean, there's sloppy ritual work and there's good ritual work. And when somebody's practiced the right way over and over and over again, it's like it takes root in your mind to do it the right way. Yeah.
Sure.
Cutting corners on banishing is not the field. You're right. Absolutely right. I have
The other
alternative ways.
topic I thought, go on.
I wanted to show it to you, maybe, if you wanted to see. An
What?
alternative method of banishment: the brass bowl.
Yes.
This brass bowl, if you take it, if you go clockwise with it, that vibration will create a force that drives things back. That was one of the entire purposes of making that bowl, by the way. The people that make those specials, they use that to drive spirits away because it can create rings of like concentric force that push things back further and further and further until they're out of their area. So that's another way to do it. But I would recommend learning an actual banishing ritual, not just playing with the bowl. You know, the bowl is an excellent tool for we don't have time for something. Let's yeah, yeah. That's all. Okay.
Sure. Also, you can internalize your banishing ritual. So if you're out and about on the street and there's something untoward happening, you can just do a bit of a working while you're walking along and sort of keep yourself safer than you otherwise would be.
Now, internal banishing. Gosh, I'm glad you brought that up. For people that have problems with um, obsessive thinking, cyclic
Yep.
regurgitated thinking, the internal banishing ritual, just doing the ritual as if you were inside yourself, that is a wonderful and miraculous tool to solve a lot of problems. Yep. Yep. That's a great idea. It drives out things that shouldn't be there anyway, that don't have a strong hold. It fortifies the mind. Um, it's definitely a good practice. And you
What
should
I
be able
used to
to.
do, well, what I used to do is I used to visualize. I used to visualize these horrible things, these phobias, these mental problems. I'd visualize them as a figure, and then I'd banish the fucker. And then when it came back, I'd visualize it again and banish the fucker until eventually it was gone. Maybe it's just reprogramming your head. I don't know, but it works.
It does work, and eventually they will fucking stay gone because they're using more energy than it takes trying to fuck with you than they're getting out of it. Yeah,
Sure.
that's what happens, man. That's what happens. Yeah, that's
The
very
other
true.
thing I want to talk about, because it's not talked about too much, is I want to talk just quickly, if I could, about divination, particularly tarot, because everybody's got a tarot deck, haven't they?
Sure.
Here's the thing. Here's something that to think about. There's three people, and they're all of equal knowledge and ability at reading tarot. But they all ask the same question, but the answers are all different. One of them is a general, one of them's a muddy boots soldier, and another one is a whore that follows around the troops. They've all asked the same question about the war, but they've all got different answers because they bring to the question they're asking their own perspective. So when I ask a question of tarot, I come in as a fucking king, right? I am a living god. This is what I want to know. But a lot of people, look, the best tarot readers you can get are those fat women who sit in pagan dresses at the kitchen table at parties and do tarot. They're the readings you really want to get, you know.
Why? Why do we want those?
Yeah, so what I do when I do a divination, I come at it. I'm not just a shit. I'm a living god, and I need proper advice. And I bring that. I meditate before I do it, and I bring that attitude towards what I do. And I think I get better advice than I'd get from a tarot reader at a kitchen table at a party.
For sure.
The other thing that freaks me out is that heaps and heaps, and some are better than others, but there are heaps of tarot decks which are actually talisman, but nobody uses tarot actively. If you get yourself a second deck, one you don't divine with, right, and you get yourself a picture frame, you can get the necessary cards you want for the outcome you want, and then you can consecrate it and let it do its work. But hardly anyone seems to do that.
No, hardly anyone does. I didn't know how to do that until you had brought it up a couple of years back to me, Al. So, if I haven't heard of it either, I mean, I think it's probably just these newcomers just haven't heard of it. Tell us about it. Tell us more about it.
Well, look, if you get yourself a decent set of cards, I don't know, the Rider-Waite Golden deck or whatever. I'm not a big fan of Rider-Waite, but they are effective magical cards if you're going to use them as talisman. And then you get the cards you want for the outcome you want, and you lay them out. I'm an old-fashioned person, so I always use 100% natural material. Glass is considered a natural material, so I use cheap wooden frame, cheap wooden frame, and then a glass insert, and then I take it apart and I put the cards that I want in the order that I want, then I seal it all up, then I consecrate them, and then I let them do their thing.
And it's no harder than that, is it? No harder than that.
No, it's just a
I,
consecration.
when I heard your method here, I kind of started playing with it and experimenting with another magician, and she and I kind of found our way to making these little road maps of 3 to 5 cards.
Yep.
And we started at the beginning of where we were, what card that was, and then we worked towards where we wanted to be. And what we found was the cards that we used actually would influence the way that it manifested, which was really kind of it's kind of a neat little. I'm like, wow, this is really something. He didn't say anything about this, but yeah, it's a cool trick, man. Yeah, very cool trick. I was gonna say with
Yeah, but
tarot.
the other thing I recommend for people when they get there, if they're serious with tarot cards, get yourself take some time to study decks online. If you haven't got a deck of tarot cards, don't run in and buy the first one you see. Take some time, quite some time, more than a few days, maybe a few weeks. Study all the different types of decks online until you find one that sort of talks to you. And then when you get the deck, get yourself 100% natural casting cloth, cotton, cheap, silk, whatever. Oh yeah, go for cotton. And then get yourself a bag that'll hold your cards that wrapped in the cloth. I wrap my cards in the cloth so they're always on the same side every time because they're wrapped in the cloth, and I put them in the bag. So I've got them all together, and I find that's just a lot more helpful than folding them all up into little cloth and sticking it in with the cards or whatever. Mine just goes in, bang, the whole thing, done.
Well, you're old school, Al. And people got taught that because silk is an insulator against magical energies, and those cards are very sensitive. It's a very sensitive instrument. It is. It's a very sensitive oracle, and
Yep.
other people's thoughts or impure magnetism can affect that greatly. So you're absolutely right. The other thing I was going to say is when you sit down to do your divination, if it's for yourself, I always make it in the third person. Like, show me what will be so for the great Mike B with regard to finances. Show me what will be so for the great Mike B with love. Like, I'm not asking myself for myself, I'm asking about myself. And when I do that, I take the emotional attachment off of it, and it becomes more clinical, like I'm observing it for somebody else. And when I do that, I don't
I've
have the
never heard
same
that before.
hey, I don't have the same problem with bias that I have with say, show me what will happen with this, show me what will happen with this, because my emotions are going to cloud that reading if I'm not really, really careful and meditate beforehand. But if I just do it third person, show me what will be so for Mike, show me what will be so for Al, show me what will be so for now I'm just an observer, a UN observer, Cheryl, and you get a lot better results like that when you're
That's
asked to do it.
brilliant.
So, yeah,
That's brilliant. I'm going to use that. That's a fantastic idea.
I'll try that sometime. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a real good one. Oh, look at this one, Al. Did I show you this? It's an angel board for talking to the angel. It's got a magnetic pendulum. Yeah, like it gives answers like maybe, never, always, yes, no.
Did you make
Yeah,
that?
no, that was a gift to me from Christmas. And the only problem with it, the girl that gave it to me said, "Now it's been used in angel magic." I'm like, well, that's great. The demons are gonna love this then, aren't they? Probably have a house fire or some shit. I said, okay, well, fuck it. We'll just use it for angels then. We'll just leave it how it was. And for our recent thing with the angels that we worked on, I used it for that. And that provided a lot of good answers, like a back and forth in the spirit. It actually did work. Yeah, surprisingly well.
You used that in the ritual you did.
Yes, I did use that, and that's how I was able to ascertain its responses, and I can feel the tone behind the yes or the no or the never, like like it's just kind of like a feeling you get, like no, I won't do that. Oh yes, you will. Yeah, yeah, man, it's
Can you
cool
send me the
too.
details, if possible, as to where I can get one of those things?
Yeah, sure. I know I know it's domestically made here. I know that. Like I'm sure they make them in Australia too. Um, but I'll definitely get on that for you. And I don't think it'd be hard to make. I think we're looking at a piece of 2x4, and you need a jigsaw, probably a jigsaw, a sander, and a drill. That'd be it.
No, I'll just buy it done.
Okay. All right. I'm one of these fucking crazy motherfuckers that likes to do everything himself. Like I figured out how power tools work when I turned 40, and I just haven't stopped. Like, yeah, man. What else was I going to tell you? Banishing, divination. What else did I want to cover? You want to talk about guards and awards a little bit, or is that too bland.
Now, what I wanted to talk about quickly, because this doesn't get much. No one talks about this shit. I'm the only one. The importance of chanting, chanting the names of spirits, chanting their eans or whatever they're called. I use my own handmade beads, string of beads, and I just sit there because I find that it helps. Rubbing something in your hand helps to keep how many beads you've chanted, all that sort of shit. And what it does is it just alters what is known as the morphic field, whatever that is. But it's sort of like, for example, if you keep hearing me in your head saying, Brother Mike B, Brother Mike B, Brother Mike B, you say, what's going on, what's going on? And then when I do call you, you go, oh, it's him. I'm giving you sort of knowledge that I'm after you. I keep chanting your name and so forth. And I find for me that it works very effectively. But I might be the only one. I don't think so.
No, you're not the only one. That's part of what I call preparatory immersion, like meditating and brooding on the subject of meeting a spirit in a future time in the near future. That actually alerts the spirit. When you think about it, it thinks about you. People don't realize that. but the beating, the having something to do with your fingers and keeping count without actually trying to keep count, it's like a sneaky way around it. Because if you're counting, you're not really focused on what you're doing. But if you're just using the beads, it's like you can get away with like diverting a little bit of your attention, to it. Yeah, yeah, I like that. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
our
I got a
banishment.
33 bead set.
Okay.
With broken up, so there's 3 sets of 11 beads. So if I do that 3 times, that's 99. You can do a whole heap of different things with it, and it just gives your fingers something so you know how many you've done. That's all.
What's your favorite number?
Pardon?
What's your favorite number of mantra?
Oh, I generally tend to do the 99. I do three sets of 33.
I like 40 and I like 108. I don't know why that is, but I like 40 and 108. 40 is really
Oh,
effective for like nighttime. Yeah, I like 40. I don't know why.
everybody's different.
Everybody's different. With vibrating and chanting, now chanting may be different than vibrating. I'm not 100% sure, but with vibrating, I can tell you this: you should be able to vibrate any point on your body while standing fully erect with your arms to your sides and your head up. You should, without being able to move your head at all, you should be able to make any part vibrate. Tips of your toes, your shins, your arms. It takes practice. It takes a lot of practice. But when you get good at it, that's part of directing that vanishing energy that you were talking about, that voice of power. And that vibration is very, very effective. It comes back to an ancient, I think, formula. I think it was a Kabbalistic formula of abracadabra, which is as I speak, so I create. You know, and vibration is a very good tool for that. It also makes the spirits. It makes the spirits behave. I find. Like if
Yes.
you give them gives them good vibration, they'll rally to it. They'll stand up for it. They'll cheer for it. They may cower from it. It depends on what you're doing with it. It's a very versatile tool. Singing and chanting. I use this when I'm using demon magic, especially. Like I will chant their ends or their name in a rhythmic way that brings our minds together. Like its mind and your mind, it comes closer together with that chanting, and then you can kind of work together on something. Like I don't know if I'm making sense, but
I know where
anyway,
you're
okay,
coming from.
all right. Yeah.
The other thing I want to talk about is stuff you can do in the street, and I only remembered this making notes the other day for this talk, and I'm going to get back into it because I used to do it years ago. When I'm standing in a queue at a supermarket, I see someone standing in front or 2 places in front of me, and I direct my consciousness at them, and I force them to turn around. And the way I do it, so I imagine I've got horns growing out, and I turn them down, and the light goes straight into the back of their head. And if you keep doing that for long enough, you'll find you get the ability to do that. And making someone turn around and look at you is a really important little tool.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. That's the precursor for a lot of things. I would agree with that. In this
Yes,
country,
but
it's a little
people
weird,
don't
Al.
people don't do it, and you can just do it while you're on the street. Do that sort of shit.
In this country, it's a little weird, Al, because I could be walking behind somebody by about 10 feet, and look at the back of them, and they'll turn around and look at me. Like they're very sensitive. You're like I love this country, but they're very psychically sensitive. Like if you're walking behind someone, you're like, oh wow, and okay, and then they'll turn and look at you. And you're like, I didn't say anything. I wasn't noisy. I didn't do anything. But they feel the weight of your stare. That's where the expression "the weight of your stare" comes from.
I've
Yes,
never heard that before.
yeah, the weight of your stare. That's because there's weight behind it. Yeah, yeah, the weight of your stare.
Thanks for that. I'll remember that.
That's a good
Do you
one,
want
isn't
to?
it?
We covered it, but like we've given them a lot to work on.
Yeah, we have, haven't we? Yeah. What else? What else should we cover? I got about 10 minutes left.
How many minutes?
About 10 minutes, I think.
Okay. Do you want to talk about magical weapons? There you go.
Oh, I love magical weapons. Those are the business. Yeah, man. I got magical weapons all over the place. What's your favorite one?
The wand.
Ah, man, the wand. This is the one for infernal work that I like to use. Yeah, I know it's a little bit much. It's a little bit much, but it's stylized, Al.
Sure.
Yeah. Um, you can use a lot of you can wands. You can use wands for a lot of different things, and I think people should. I mean, it represents the quality of concentration within the human psyche, and
And
it's a very
direction.
yeah direction. Yeah, direction, concentration, and direction. Like when you see a symphony, you know, like the conductor's up there doing this. When you see a traffic cop, he's doing this and this with his baton. All these people use the wand in their daily work, and they don't really realize what they're doing. You
Yes.
know, they're directing the attention of other people. Yep, and themselves.
That was very well put.
Thank you. And
Also,
what else?
the other thing I've used on occasion when I need to have a coin, when I need to have a pentangle, I use a slice of bread. There
Oh
it is.
yeah, for sure. A little bit of salt on it,
I go
even
cheap
it
and
up.
nasty. Cheap and nasty.
Hmm. Yep, that works. Absolutely works. You could use a feather for the dagger of air if you had to. You could.
I've never thought of that. Yeah, you could.
Yep. Yep. Sure could. It's in the same vein as a piece of bread for the pentacle because
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, totally. It's what's important is people for the magicians to remember that these are the tools that exist inside of themselves also. That they're not
Yes.
just physical props for ritual, but they're also the internal qualities of with your cup you've got ablution or purification, you've got the dagger for destruction, you've got
Mm.
the pentacle for manifestation, and you've got the wand for concentration and direction. Now, these are all like critical skills for the magician to have and qualities to develop as time goes on. I like to take the students and get them a 500 count box of matches, like the kind with the blue tip, make them dump them out on the table and mix them together, and take them one by one and put them in the box facing the same way. And by the end of it, they're stir crazy. Like they're like, "What the fuck is this shit?" And it's like this is to build patience. That's why we're doing this. Because as long as you hate doing it and it's a struggle for you, magic is going to be very challenging in certain areas. So when you can do this and do each one and not give a fuck about it and just do it, now you've achieved patience. And now that kind of patience builds that tenacity that can't be defeated in magic. Repetition, repetition, repetition creates such psychic pressure that nothing can stop it. Yeah. That's what I like to say.
Amen.
Yeah. 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 I'm sorry, I kind of got off on a tangent there, but yeah.
The other thing I want to talk about before, because we've got a couple of minutes, and I read this years ago. It's not my work. I read it years ago in a book, I don't know whether it's still available, called The Lazy Man's Guide to Relaxation by Israel Regardie. It should have been published as a book by Reader's Digest because it's a really simple, fantastic book. And the first exercise he gives is how to relax. And when I was a young magician, I followed the instructions, and it said, don't lay on a mattress, don't lay on a hard floor, don't use a pillow, lay on a rug or a carpet or something. Take your shoes off and then relax, start relaxing they say, what he said was give a sigh, take in a deep breath and give a sigh like you've just lost everything and everybody in the world. You've got nothing more to lose. Give one of those sides and then start with your toes and start getting your toes relaxed, and then work your way up your leg. And by the time you get to your knee, you'll probably find your toes are a bit tight again. So give a sigh like you've just lost everything and start at your toes. And I did this for weeks and weeks and weeks until I could get up to my head. And what happened was I knew I'd succeeded because I fell into deep sleep on the carpeted floor. Anyway, the reason I say this, it's really important to do this exercise is because if you're in a situation where you're really stressed and, just can't handle it anymore. If you give a sigh like that, your body will go into Pavlov's dog and you'll just become completely relaxed. One afternoon, I was trying to get home. It was a horrible, rainy, overcast, stormy afternoon. I'm in my car. The traffic's blocked. And I was just so frustrated. Out of nowhere, I just went, oh, and all of a sudden, I was about to collapse, and I had to open the window, and the rain's coming in. And so, I'm going to go to sleep, I'm going to go to sleep. That's how powerful it is. And it's a really good relaxation technique. It's not mine. I got it out of the Lazy Man's Guide to Relaxation by Israel Regardie years ago. There you go.
Let me ask you a question, Al, about something. Let me see what your opinion based on that is. You're familiar with the practice of mudras, yes? Like the different finger positions for like different. It's kind
Yes.
of okay. Now I'm told that can be programmed. You can program your mudras just like you programmed that side. That side became a part of the programming of like a neuro-linguistic feedback type of deal where your whole body relaxed on you at once. That's awesome. Could you do that with other ritual work as well and program it to a mudra?
I don't know. I don't know.
It makes me wonder because you're right. I can see you being completely right about that side. Like you taught yourself and your body to do that every single time, and then when it happens, like turn into jelly. Like that's pretty intense. So
You're going in
anyway,
for a job interview. You're going in for
yeah.
a job interview, and you're scared shitless. So just before you go in, you give this sigh. And you walk in there like $1 million. Here I am. He's not worried. He's
It's also good for people that are heading off to jail that aren't going to be having a cigarette for a while.
well, yeah. So practice now.
Alec, it was great to be with you here, man. Let's do this again soon.
Okay, that's wonderful, man. I'm glad we can finally get here.
Yeah, absolutely, man. This is cool. Now we both have the technology at the right level, and everything seems to be good. So we'll be able to make use of this for a while. It'll be cool.
See you,
All right,
brother.
brother. Yep. Peace.
Bye.